But when I heard the phrase micro-novelty and I sat down to kind of think through this episode, I realized I think that that's where my positivity comes from. Hello and welcome back to another week of Calling in Sick. I'm your host, Alex Wilderson. It is so good to not have IVIG today. I have had it every single day this week, minus Thursday because it was a holiday. And every single day this week, I did the exact same thing. It was like a repeat of a day. Every day blended together. My symptoms blended together. I was nauseous. I had headaches. I had bad body aches. The days that I get IVIG, all of my like normal autoimmune symptoms on fire. They're so debilitating. But the day that I'm done with it, I get relief. I feel so much better. I think it's just like maybe the fact that I have 20,000 people's immune systems going into my body and my body's like, whoa, and goes on high alert and then just revs all the inflammation up. That would scientifically make sense to my logical brain, but I'm no doctor and no scientist, so could be completely off basis there. Anyway, to nobody's surprise, every single day after IVIG, actually no, I should tell you guys how I spend my IVIG days. I schedule it for early in the morning because the anticipation and waiting time for IVIG gives me so much stress and anxiety, I can't get anything done beforehand. So I schedule it for like 8 a.m., anywhere in between 8 a.m. and 9:30. So I can just have my breakfast, get ready, and go. It's usually about a 4.5, 5 hour day for me when I do it over 4 days. Next time I'm doing it over 3 days because, sneak peek, your girl had no infusion reactions this week. So we had to finally move from 4 days to 3 days. Back to the main story. And I get to the infusion center. I get all settled in. I have my whole setup, my Olipop, my smoothie, my water, 2 blankets, my sleep crown, 2 pillows, my service dog Knox, and then I lock in. And usually I'm doing something for social media or for podcasting because I love being creative during those times. It's just like I have no interruptions. I have nothing else to do. And I don't feel guilty if I'm scrolling because I can call it research. And I love that. I don't usually sleep, even though I get 50 milligrams of IV Benadryl. I just found out I did this DNA testing through sequencing, which you guys should check out. It's awesome. It was very comprehensive. I found out I have that MTHR gene, so I process certain medications really, really fast, like pain medication, nerve medication, mental health medications. It makes a lot of sense when I look back at my history of how my body's responded to those medications or the dosing I have needed for certain medications. I'm like, oh, no shit, I'm tiny. Why did I need such a large dose of pain meds to feel some semblance of normality? Body's processing it really fast. Anywho, IVIG week, I get Benadryl. I push through the tiredness. Maybe I close my eyes for 5-15 minutes and then I am on to productivity. Coop picks me up. I'm usually pretty grumpy because all I've eaten is goldfish and my smoothie. And then we get home and I usually have the exact same meal every single day. And it is those pizza bites by Feel Good Foods that are gluten-free. So good. If you haven't had them yet, they are amazing. You can get them at Whole Foods and I'm sure other places. I'm pretty sure Target carries them too in the frozen food section. Then I fight through my tired restlessness. I try to watch TV. I feel yucky. All my symptoms start happening. And by nighttime, I'm at the peak of my side effects and I am way beyond the sleeping point. And I am like a toddler that missed their afternoon nap. And I am cranky and anxious and unhappy with the world. And that happens over the course of 4 or 5 days, which is both exhausting on me and my wonderful husband, Sweet St. Cooper. And when that happens, and when you do the exact same thing every single day, and you feel the exact same way every single day, it starts to feel like Groundhog Day. And that is what we are going to talk about in this week's episode. The weird phenomenon that happens with chronic illness when every single day starts to bleed in and feel the exact same. And you can't help but wonder, what the fuck is the point of this? I hate waking up and feeling the same every day. I hate that these days just pass and months seem to pass and everything is the same. And I think that leads to feeling hopeless and having anxiety and just everything's percolating. And it's hard and sad and rough. But I did a little bit of research, made some connections into some of the habits that I do, drew some conclusions, and I have some, of course, solutions for us. But before we dive into all of my ideas for counteracting the Groundhog Day that is chronic illness, housekeeping. Please follow, like, subscribe if you aren't already. And if you are and you want to help grow this podcast, send it to a friend, send it to one of your doctors or colleagues, send it to a family member, post it on Reddit or Facebook or wherever you want. Everything that you guys do to help grow this podcast is truly working and helping grow it. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys. I love getting to do this with you guys. It is the biggest treat and honor and goal and dream of my life. So thank you. And I'm excited to just keep at it. For this week, since we're talking Groundhog Day, and this is a quick flash on one of my tips for us, I want you guys to comment one micro-novelty that you're going to do this week and let me know how it helped. You can put it in the comments. You can send me a voice note on social media. You can send me an email or a DM, whatever you want to do to share your micro-novelty and the outcome you get from it. I want to hear about it. And then probably in 2 episodes, I'll read some of them to give everybody inspo on how to keep upgrading our lives and get out of that repetition that feels yucky. And I have got a couple things that can also help us not feel so yucky. Alex's picks of the week. Guys, I've got 3 for you this week because I have the inability to make decisions apparently right now. I could not narrow that down to 2. I almost did 4 this week. That's how indecisive I am today. Number 1 and number 2. The first 2 picks of the week are all about doing self-care things that make you just feel good, low spoon count, but high reward. You guys have heard me jokingly talk about how spray tans always make me smile, always give me fake energy, and make me feel a lot better. I stand by that full and through. It's pretty expensive to do spray tans if you want to do that consistently. So I found some really good at-home self-tanners that are non-toxic, that are clean and great for sensitive skin. I have tested them all on myself. No reactions, but great results. The first one is by Typology Paris. I think I've talked about this one before. It's somewhere in between lower cost, like Prequel, a great skincare line that you can find at drugstores, and Merit, which I find to be a bit more expensive, but like a wonderful makeup company. Typology fits in between there, but their clean beauty level is through the roof. France has one of the strictest, most stringent standards on their beauty products. So anything that comes out of that area, I'm like, I will maybe check you out if you are budget friendly. So budget friendly, Typology Paris. They have a self-tanning serum that is to die for. It's just drops. You mix it in with whatever lotion you use. I like to use Osea and Necessary, depending on what level of hydration my skin is demanding of me that day. So easy to put on. If you want a product that is an immediate result but doesn't sweat off, just gives you that instant glow and is not streaky or anything like that, True Botanicals has a wonderful product. The Detox Market sent it to me in their summer care package. It's not a product I usually would have bought because it is a lot more expensive, but a drop goes a whole long way. I use like 3 drops mixed into my normal body lotion, and that's it per time. So I think that this will last me well through the summer and probably fall, but it is a bit more expensive. I will try to get a discount code for you guys, and if I can secure the goods, it'll be linked in the description, and you may be glowing and tan, like I hope I look right now too. The second pick of the week is my press-on nails. You guys have seen me talk about them on social media. I'm obsessed with these things. They're so easy to put on. They do not cause damage to my nails. That's also because I take them off properly. You don't just pop them off. That will fuck up your nail for sure. But whenever I wear these and I go to events and whatnot, people always ask, hey, where do you get your nails done? And I get the wonderful thing to say, I do them myself. And then they look shocked. And then I say, they're press on. They look pretty good. And they look pretty good. And they have these cute little flowers on them. So kind of fun. And speaking of flowers, my third pick of the week is for micro-novelties, and it's paint by numbers. I am obsessed with paint by numbers. It is what I turn to when I have stir crazy, cabin fever, especially days after IVIG or weeks of IVIG where I'm not well enough to leave the house really. And so all I do is bed rot at home, couch rot at home, or infusion rot at the infusion center. Paint by numbers has been getting me through. Now, this last week I felt so shitty. I could hardly even pay attention to TV shows I was watching. So this was a good distraction to not just be watching TV, that's me putting that in quotes, while I'm really just scrolling on my phone and being so destructive to my mental health. So this helps get your hands busy doing something, not picking at your skin, not picking at your nails, making something beautiful, and it's a micro-novelty. And now we're going to talk about why micro-novelties are so important. So, talking about Groundhog's Week. This week, during IVIG, Cooper was like, we got to get you moving your body. You can't just sit at home. You're starting to go star crazy, and I can see your mental health just melting. So we started doing our hot girl walks again, even though it was hot AF, and I did not feel good. It was super helpful. Thank you, St. Coop, per usual. On the hot girl walk, he was asking me what I was really feeling like this week. And I said, I just feel heavy in my skin. I feel nauseous. My head hurts. All of my pain is spiked right now. And I think that's because I have all this inflammation in my body. And it just feels like I go through the motions every single day, kind of like Groundhog Day. And then it hit me, oh my God, that is a great topic to discuss on the podcast, because that isn't just refined to IVIG weeks. I think I've experienced this groundhog feeling phenomenon during hospital stays, during particularly large flare-ups or long flare-ups. Anytime where our health pushes us to shrink our world so that our symptoms stay more manageable. And then we get stuck. And that feeling of being stuck sucks because it causes us to spiral mentally. The what ifs start to creep in, the negative self-talk starts to creep in, and our outlook on the world just starts to be tainted with this heavy layer of blue. And it's not fun to sit in, and it's really, really hard to get out of on your own without any tools. So I did a little bit of research, and I can't wait to share with you guys. And I took notes because I just had IVIG. My brain is, it's functioning today. I'm on a roll today, but it's still IVIG week, and I got about 1.5 brain cells now, which is half more than I've had most of the days this week. So there's actually a science behind why time feels like it's standing still, but moving super, super fast when we're in routine mode, not doing anything new and keeping our lives kind of in that shrunken box. So routine actually compresses the sense of time. When we wake up and do the exact same thing every single day, the day is going to feel super, super long, but the week is going to seem like it flashed by us. And if that resonates with you and you're thinking, oh my God, that's literally what my last year has felt like, then listen up, because we don't have to live like that. Chronic stress and fatigue and candidly all of our different chronic illness symptoms that we experience actually inhibit memory formation and emotional processing. So we aren't able to capture new feelings or new experiences because we don't feel safe enough to do that. Okay, so let's use my IVIG week as an example. During IVIG week, I get horrifying symptoms that I've already described. I know that if I push the boundaries, like usual normal Alex does, trying to figure out where my limits are so I can live as large and as big of a life possible in this chronically ill body, I know that if I do that, I probably will land in the ER in the hospital because I have before. So my brain associates breaking routine with danger. Then, as I've shared, I don't sleep well during IVIG weeks. Part of that is me fighting the Benadryl and not napping when I should. Part of that is not properly resting when I get home from IVIG. And then the third part is that my symptoms get really bad at night during IVIG weeks. Well, I guess all weeks. So I don't have a restful sleep. And when you have that chronic fatigue and then the stress that comes out of being chronically fatigued, it actually inhibits our brain from forming memories and processing emotions. So it totally makes sense to me, and now I have a great excuse to use when during IVIG weeks I am a puddle and a toddler and sobbing at the end of the day because I'm so fucking tired. Now I can just tell Cooper, well, it's the chronic fatigue and stress, and my brain is just not cooperating and actually just can't process these emotions right now. So I need to be put down and put to sleep. Maybe that will actually encourage me to sleep now that I know that. Hopefully it does. We'll see in 5 weeks from now. On the opposite side of the spectrum, when we have days where we don't have symptoms and we get to go do a bunch of things and have a big life, time moves slower during that day. You could look up time moves slower during that day, but that whole week or that moment passes in a blink of an eye. Think of like when you go on vacation and you wake up early, you go on a walk on the beach, then you go have breakfast, and then you go read, 200 pages in your book, and then eat again, and then go swimming in the ocean. You're fitting so much in on a day, and when you are getting into bed at night, you're like, damn, that was a really full day, but whew, the whole vacation blinked by. It's so weird how our brain processes time. I think it's actually like one of the coolest things, and I think we can use it to our advantage being chronically ill. Okay, so that all sounds well and good, but when we think about actually breaking the loop, that can sound like climbing a mountain, especially when we're bedbound or super, super home restricted because of our symptoms. But don't worry, I have tips. Okay, so there's this really interesting concept called the psychology of novelty. In TLDR, it basically explains that our brains embed memories deeper when we try new things. And when that happens, it creates a fuller sense of time. So that explains the vacation phenomenon, how we have these core memories of these exciting times in our life. It's not just because it's exciting, it's because it's novel and new. Whereas our day-to-day routine, especially our day-to-day when it's Groundhog, everything feels the same, even if you made slight tweaks or changes or even received good news during that week. And the great news is you don't even have to leave your house to experience this feeling of novelty. So you've heard me talk about micro-habit building. Now let me introduce to you micro-novelty. Micro-novelty is doing little things that are sparking big impacts of joy. For me, that could be finding and getting so obsessed with a new type of tea. For example, I love chai tea. I think it's delicious. I went on a hunt to go find the best chai tea I could make at home. I came through and found Four Sigmatics Golden Latte, and oh my God, the novelty of this new routine I have in my life is amazing. Something I look forward to every single day. The way I make it is the same, but for the first few times I was doing this, it was a micro change in my life, and it felt novel because I had a new routine or a new part of my nighttime routine that was very soothing and calming. But you don't have to even go buy something new to have this feeling. You could rearrange the pillows on your bed and a guest bed, or your bed and a couch. You could move your art around. You could do your gratitude journal at a different place in your house or outside. You could play new music. You could watch a new YouTube video. You could try a simple new little hobby, like paint by numbers. We're tying it all together. Now, the great thing about micro-novelties is they're not macro. So they can be little tiny shifts and changes that we make in our day and our routines and our lives that just spark joy in our lives. Do you remember when we were little kids and you would rearrange your room and all of a sudden your world felt different? You had this new sense of courage and, what's the word I'm looking for? Confidence. You had this new sense of confidence that you carried and a feeling of newness in your life. But you didn't go and buy anything. You just moved shit around in your house. That is the micro novelty of small changes. You can also get that same feeling by just rearranging your throw pillows in your bedroom, or moving art around in your house, or drinking a new tea, journaling somewhere else, calling a friend out of the blue, or trying a new little hobby like paint by numbers. These little micro novelties shift things in our brain. These little micro novelties don't just feel good in the moment, but they're psychologically good for us because they are changing how our brain is functioning. And when we do that, we get a break out of that Groundhog's Day feeling, and life starts to feel that much bigger. So just imagine if you keep building on that, doing these micro novelties, treating yourself with these little gifts of newness, how different you might feel in a week, in 21 days, the amount of time it takes to build a habit, in a quarter, by the end of the year. So if you're feeling stuck, physically or mentally, This is such a small little layup that you can give yourself that has a huge impact in as low spoons. I was trying to think back to the first time that maybe I did this. So I get a lot of questions about where the hell do I get my positivity from? And I have never had a good answer to that. I've always just thought, I don't know, it's maybe faith, maybe spirituality, maybe my support system, maybe just growing up sick and not knowing differently. And I've always used one of those as an answer. But when I heard the phrase micro-novelty and I sat down to kind of think through this episode, I realized I think that that's where my positivity comes from. I am someone that is always moving and going, buzzing to do something else. But because I've grown up but because I've been sick since I was a little kid, sometimes buzzing and doing a bunch of things had to be in small ways. But as a kid, you don't see that as your world getting smaller. You just view it as a day in your life. I was the kid that rearranged their room probably every other month. I was going outside and catching bugs. I was an avid reader, diving into these different worlds. I was a baker trying out new recipes. I was a subscriber to NASA satellites so I could go look at space. I was always doing anything I could to stay entertained and going really, really deep into it. Maybe going a little bit too deep into everything and like maybe driving my parents absolutely nuts that I was changing who I wanted to be every single day. But the point is, I was doing these exciting dives in my life. Small changes when I was not feeling well, big changes when I was feeling well. And that became embedded into who I am as a human being. And so when I think about my adult life, one of the hardest periods of my life was during COVID. So when I look back into my adult life and try to think, does that transfer? Did I do these changes in my adult life? Was I chasing micro-novelty in my adult life? The answer was a resounding yes. When I was on Cytoxin, the world was still very much locked down, and I was terrified. I was so immunocompromised. I was terrified to leave our house. And so during that time, it was so easy to feel like my world had shrunk. But I was also in my newlywed era. Cooper and I were months into being married. And so instead of feeling small and letting ourselves stay trapped, I would come up with an idea of a theme that we were going to do that weekend. And all of that week, I would plan my outfit, what food we were going to eat, what drinks we were going to make, what music we were going to listen to. And there were these micro-novelties every single day of putting together the puzzle of what this weekend exciting activity was going to be. One of the best ones that we did was a Bridgerton-themed tea party. It went over so well. We had so much fun that then we invited my entire family and Cooper's entire family to join us for a virtual Bridgerton-themed tea party where everyone was required to dress up with little British top hats. It was a whole thing. It was adorable. And it was so much fun, and it brought so much light into my life and into my family's lives and into our family's lives. I remember everyone just really leaned into this themed party, and it was so monumental, but such a micro-novelty. And I guess the point of having these micro-novelties and focusing on these little things that we can do, it's not to heal our illnesses or to fix ourselves, but rather to feel like time is moving again. And I truly believe if we can get our mental health into a line where it is chugging along and we're seeing the good in life, we'll start noticing what the good sensations are in our body. So even if we aren't feeling our best or our diseases are still chugging along and active, at least we're noticing the good. And that changes everything. That perspective shift is everything. Because you can be at your lowest low physically, but at your highest high mentally. And I know that because I've been there. So here's to us reclaiming a sense of momentum, no matter our state, no matter how we're feeling, but just one little bit of momentum can make all the difference. Now, if you need any inspo for micro-novelties, come check out my Instagram. I will be posting all week what little micro-novelties I'm chasing, and I would love to invite you to chase them with me. And what I'm hoping is that these micro-novelties get us out of our algorithms and to new algorithms to see different things other than just content that is telling us that we are broken and need to be fixed, And sometimes the content that we get that says we're broken and need to be fixed is full of BS and quackery, which Dr. Rajan, sneak peek, Dr. Rajan and I are going to dive into next week's episode and myth bust a ton of different social media wellness trends. Love you, Maria. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a great episode. But regardless, we're going to be diving into micro-novelties this week, so make sure to follow on social, share what you're doing that's going to be shaking up your routine and your lifestyle, and let me know what the impact is to your life at the end of the week. And if you need deeper inspo than that, I am currently watching, and I guess this is where we're going to transition to the One Brain Cell segment. I'm currently watching Clarkson's Farm. It's Jeremy Clarkson. You might know him from Top Gear if you are a car person, like I apparently am by proxy because Cooper is. Jeremy Clarkson had this amazing career in Top Gear. Once he made it big, he used his money and bought a massive farm in London and is now teaching himself husbandry and farming. Excellent. There's 4 seasons out. You can binge it. It is feel good. There's tears and joy and every human emotion underneath the sun. If you need a comfort show, this is it. It's on Amazon Prime. Also, fun fact, one of the coolest things I've now learned about Jeremy Clarkson, Paddington Bear was actually based off of Jeremy Clarkson's childhood teddy bear. His parents made him a Paddington, and then they sold the Paddington Bear story, and someone made a movie about it. So also, if you need another comfort show, or if you need another comfort thing to watch, Paddington 1, 2, and 3 are amazing. 2 is my favorite. I hope they continue to make more of them because they are just heartwarming. Okay, and that's all I've got for today. I am going to go chase some micro-novelties to rev up my mental health. And to wrap up this week's episode, I am going to go do some gardening for some micro-novelty. And I have to say, even thinking about all these micro-novelties has started to shift my mental health, which is great because I am in trauma therapy right now, which can be very heavy and anxiety releasing. So this, I feel like, is offsetting that. And hopefully by the end of this month or early next month, those things will collide and I will feel all kinds of new and better. But until then, let's go chase some micro-novelties together. Can't wait to hear what you guys do this week. Share them with me in the comments or on Instagram. I love you guys. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me for another week of Calling in Sick. As a reminder, I would love for y'all to like, follow, subscribe, save, share with a friend, do all of the things. It truly helps grow this community, and it helps these episodes reach the people that need them the most, whether that's for an educational piece, to have a little laugh, or to not feel so alone. As a reminder, Calling in Sick sits on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, and anywhere else where you can find your listens. From the bottom of my heart, I absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much for calling in sick with me every Monday. It's been an honor and a pleasure so far, and I can't wait to continue building this community with y'all. Love you.